Hey everybody, it's Mike Sherwood and welcome to my channel, Don't Waste Your Life, where we ask you to be present, to be happy, and to be thankful. If you're new to the channel, I ask you to subscribe, and if you're returning, thanks for coming back. So in this session, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my Polar Watch and some of the things that I've learned about using it and what I use it for. So I'm planning to share that with y'all. And I'm hoping it'll be helpful. Today is a little bit different setting because I am actually at a tournament in Greensboro. And so I'm recording this session from there, and I just felt like it would be something different. Obviously lighting and everything like that will be different. It's just something fun to do. So with that, let's get started. As mentioned, I've been using my Polar Watch for about 3 months now, and I absolutely love it. It's much better than the Fitbit. I have a lot less problems, no issues as far as syncing. It's been great. I want to talk about some of the different areas of what I've done with it and what I see I'm using as far as like sports performance and different things. I think that'd be helpful. For sleep, I'm going to show some data here up on the screen. I'm going to show some of the trending data that I've had over the last number of weeks, and hopefully that'll be useful for you to kind of see like what the data looks like. I would say the app and the website actually has a lot of similarities, but they have some differences as well. So you can see some of the data here. So this is what I do is every morning when I wake up, I make sure to check to see if the timer stopped. Usually it stops on its own. I would say 99% of the time it stops on its own. And then what I will do is I will record how I slept. And this is very important because when you look at the data points, and I'll show you some of the data points you can see here, even though it shows that you've slept well, sometimes it also depends on what cycle you come out of, how your sleep will actually be. So you can see how this is actually tracking. So as many of you know, I play badminton very early in the morning. And so on those days, I tend to get less sleep and I have a sleep deficit. So I try to make that up on other days. The other thing that's nice about the sleep is it shows sleep recovery, the actual recovery as far as like energy. So one of the interesting data points I've been kind of analyzing and looking through is like when I play badminton at night on Wednesday nights, I noticed that my recovery rate usually tends to be worse. I'm wondering if it just has to do with like my resting heart rate being so high, before I go to bed. So I'm still experimenting with it. I can show you some of the data here up on the screen, but I would say, that's one of the interesting things I've kind of like looked at with this watch. So as far as activity tracking, I typically use this for badminton primarily. I also use it for swimming, outdoor biking. Anything that's GPS related, it does a really good job. But personally, only GPS I'm doing actually is outdoor biking. So anything else I don't do, but you can do CrossFit, you can do all kinds of different tracking, tracks, like tracking around, running around tracks. Swimming metrics are quite good. I actually really like it for swimming. It's waterproof. It's a really good watch. So I highly recommend it for activity tracking. And you can see some of the screenshots I have here as far as some of the sessions I've had. What it actually does is it'll track your heart rate over the session and it'll give a score to that session based on how difficult it is. And that's really important because as you kind of build up your tolerance over time, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, it's very important to understand how you'll recover. And so there's a lot of cool data in here. So what it actually does is you'll see on some of the screenshots here, you'll see that it tracks the strain and it tracks the tolerance. The strain is actually 7 days. Tolerance is gonna be 28 days. And it'll allow you to track how the different statuses are changing over time. Detraining, are you productively training? Are you maintaining? Are you over straining? It'll tell you all this. You can see some of the screenshots here. It's really good data, and it's I actually feel like it's pretty bang on. As far as like when I feel like I'm overtraining, it usually is telling me that I'm overtraining. So it usually is pretty accurate. What I love about this is on a weekly basis, you can kind of see the data that shows how much time or how long you're running or all those other different metrics of like what you're doing. So it's very helpful. The other thing I'd recommend is getting an H10 heart rate monitor with your Polar Watch. It makes it very accurate. The watch itself is pretty accurate. Definitely not as accurate as what I was talking about with the Apple Watches, but it's pretty accurate. I recommend the H10 heart rate monitor. It pairs very well. It's great because like I just literally like pull it out and I just throw it on and away I go, and I use it for badminton. It's very helpful. So again, you can see some of the data that I've been tracking from what's on the screen. But it's very helpful to kind of understanding recovery, strain, and just overall build up over time. So I highly recommend it. And what I always tell people with fitness tracking is like, look at the changes over time. Don't just try to look at one data point and like try to figure out what's going on. I think you got to look at the history. And so I've shown some additional data up here. You can see like some of the history I've had as far as like what status I've been in different weeks. It has a really good dashboard, both online and the app, which I will have screenshots for you to see here. If you have any questions on the Polar Watch, highly recommend it. They have sale going on right now. Garmin Watch is pretty good too, but I like the Polar Watch and highly recommend it, and you should check it out. Thanks again.